The Astros flashed leather. The rookie catcher looked really good behind the plate, gunning down 2 runners on the bases. Corey Julks made an amazing grab, but the offense was absolutely flat. We're going to talk about this defeat by the Houston Astros on tonight's Locked On Astros.
Alvarez, it's a high drive, center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner, fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive. Positive. I don't like Gabe Kapler getting wins as the Giants manager. Always Stros.
All right. Brett's living in an alternate reality where the Astros won this game 2-0, apparently, in the little intro. And I'm here for that. I'm here for the Astros winning every time. And if you're here for a winning podcast, go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. Become an everydayer. Everydayer is somebody that comes and listens to our podcast, every day. And we had some people at the game the other day say, hey, I'm an everydayer. I'm at the game too. So that's pretty cool. So go ahead and become an everydayer. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, and go and subscribe to us on YouTube and make us your first listen every day. And today's episode, I wish, was sponsored by Mauricio Dubon, but he went 0 for 4 today. So I guess this episode will be sponsored by Yanier Diaz, and this was the Yanier Diaz show. And I know we've been talking a lot about, he should be getting more starts, and a lot of the pitchers prefer to throw to Maldi, but Maldi had a good hitting day the other day. But this is what you can see from Diaz once he gets some more playing time. He had 2 hits. He threw out 2 runners. His pop time is the 4th highest in baseball right now. And so there's a lot of good things to think about with Yanier Diaz. But you have Martin Maldonado, who is the favorite child of Dusty Baker.
Well, I don't think it's just a Dusty Baker thing. I do think it is a player preferential thing. And there was a tweet because it was Twitter Tuesday on the broadcast, and they addressed that because someone asked, why doesn't Diaz get more playing time? And Blummer said because the pitchers like throwing to Maldi. They feel comfortable with him back there. And Yanier Diaz, I think, will get his starts in due time. Dusty did say, and I'm going to hold him to his word, that in a couple weeks, you're going to see Diaz get a lot more starts. Now, with Luis Garcia being out, with Jose Urquidy being out, there really aren't any more excuses for them to not start Diaz more. Now, Diaz was going to start with Brown because that's his battery mate. He caught him all last year in AAA, and so he is very comfortable with him. Today, Hunter Brown had an uncharacteristic start on the mound, walked way too many batters, but it didn't start that way. He started pretty good. He had given up a run here or there, but the walks and the implosion didn't happen until a few innings into the game. Yanier Diaz looked good behind the plate. He does have a cannon. He can hit the ball. And so you would think that going into tomorrow, probably it's a day game. They're probably not going to start him back-to-back games.
No.
But going on the road, I would like to see Diaz get at least, if there's a 4-game series, split the starts. 2 for Yanier, 2 for Maldi, because now you've got Javier and you've got Framber, and then the other guys that are there, Belak and those guys, and they may actually be more used to someone like Diaz behind the plate.
Something Brandon and I were talking about is we don't know. We need to talk about Luis Garcia in a second, but we don't know who's potentially coming up. We don't need a starter for this week. So technically the soonest we probably need a starter would be for Tuesday. So JP France, I believe, if I'm correct, is starting on Thursday. Forrest Whitley is starting on Wednesday. Sean Dubin is starting on, Whitley's starting on Friday, Dubin starting on Wednesday, and then Brian Garcia started tonight. So the soonest you can need another starter would be on Tuesday. And my best guess based on that rotation right there would be JP France. And JP France has who caught him last year? Yanier Diaz. So you would think that there's going to be a little bit more of a familiarity between those two guys because they've actually played together. So I think that as you see this rotation get younger, you're going to see more people maybe wanting to throw to Diaz because of they've played together in the minor league. So that could be another way to get more playing time, or just Maldonado just continues to struggle, and eventually the Astros say enough is enough. We got to go younger, and we'll see what happens. But I think the Astros too many of the pitchers see the value of his pitch calling. I know he does make some mistakes sometimes, but he is a good catcher, and he's made it very public. The Astros don't pay him to be a hitter; they pay him to catch, and so until you get that philosophy, he's still going to start.
No, and that's kind of been my argument all along. And it's funny when someone characterizes my stance as all Maldy or nothing, because that's just never been my stance at all. My stance has been until the club comes off of him being the starter, he's the starter. And until Maldonado is not in that position in the eyes of the pitchers or the front office or Dusty or whoever, it's not going to change. All the griping and moaning about it isn't going to change anything. But what you do is whatever catcher's in there, you back them. Whatever pitcher is in there, you back them. You may not agree with it, but you got to go with the guy that's out there. You don't crap on your team, and you don't like slam the team because you don't like the moves. Now you can criticize the moves and you can be critical, but I think at some point, I don't know, just like, social media, as involved in social media as I am on a daily basis, probably to a fault. It's just like people they get their feelings hurt. They take it personally, like the club is doing it to spite them. The last time Dusty Baker checked a tweet of mine or anybody's to see what to do at the game was absolutely 100%, 0% of the time. He never does that. I think Yanier Diaz having a good game today is a good sign to the Astros. And I do hope that with these injuries, maybe the silver lining for Yanier Diaz is he will get more opportunities, like I said, because there's guys in there that aren't your familiar veterans that have a repertoire and a relationship with Maldonado. So it makes it a little bit easier to soften that blow. And I think Maldonado at a certain point would be willing to give that up. They didn't give a whole lot of starts to Christian Vasquez. That might be a good thing because he didn't sign with us. He could have gotten more and more of intel from us had he caught more games last year, but they didn't have a long-term plan for him anyway. So he was not in the picture long-term. Diaz, someone said on social media, that's our future catcher. And you know what? He may be our future catcher. If Corey Lee doesn't come up this year and make a difference where he's at and make a move up, Yanier Diaz is the guy. And you're going to see him behind the plate more. You just got to give it time. But tonight's game wasn't on the catcher. Tonight's game was on the rest of the offense.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to have to talk a little bit about what happened tonight's game and what happened before tonight's game, because Matt Gage was added to the 26-man roster and Luis Garcia was added to the IL. So what's going on with him? Well, we do have a semi-update after the game we'll talk about in a second. But definitely it's not looking good, but we'll have to kind of wait for a second opinion. And sometimes you need to get second opinions and other things in life.
That's right. If you go to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb, you can discover all those subscriptions that maybe you've forgotten about. You need to go, and you got to understand that there are so many things out there that you and I pay attention to. And sometimes the things we don't pay attention to are the things that affect our wallet. And today you can go to Rocket Money and try it for free for 30 days. And you basically 80% of the people that have subscriptions say, I didn't even know I was subscribed to that. Did you know that your prescriptions can cost you up to $80 to $100 a month, even more, closer to $200 if you don't know exactly what's going on out there. But not just that, Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels those unwanted subscriptions, helps you lower the bills all in one place. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions. Manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. Find those unwanted bills. Find that stuff that's draining your account, nickel and diming you to death, and go to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb today.
All right. So I know there's a little bit of controversy at the end of the game, and I know we talked about it off air, but Dusty Baker was a little confused. He said that, well, why was they're allowed a mound visit there? And it looked like there's a pitch clock violation there, but apparently they did have one more mound visit remaining. And Brian McTaggart did clarify that at the end game. And Dusty Baker said that the umpire said that Minute Maid Park scoreboard had it wrong. So in that situation, it was the right thing, but it just, I guess everybody was just a little bit confused. And it just seemed like the whole umpire situation was confused today. Like the strike zone was terrible. Like you had
terrible.
pitches being called for Descafani that was not being called for Brown, and Brown should have struck out his last hitter that I think he ended up walking. That should have been a strikeout. And so it just, I'm not saying this game was rigged. I'm not that type of person. I'm not going to go and say that anything, but I just want to see the umpire's scorecard for this game because it had to be terrible. And we'll talk about Luis Garcia, but I'm sure you want to say something about the umpire.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, when the umpire gives such a terrible strike zone where Ronel Blanco's throwing a third pitch strike in the strike zone over the middle of the plate and it's called a ball. I mean, come on. And there was Descafani he got messed up because he threw a third pitch strike to an Astros hitter that was called a ball. So it was going both ways. This umpire, when I see umpires like this, I just think, you know what? Let's just get robo-umps. Let's just do it. I hate changing the game.
You're still going to have umpires.
You're still going to have umpires, but you have an automatic balls and strike system calling the balls and strikes.
They can override some of them, I think, right?
They can, but it's still a lot more accurate than these humans, Eric. I mean, I don't know why you're all of a sudden for these umpires because these human guys, they're terrible. I mean, they were terrible tonight. And so at the end of the day, you just didn't do it offensively. Look, hey, something good happened tonight. Michael Brantley was 2 for 2 with 2 doubles for the Space Cowboys. And I think his return will be sometime mid-May. So here in a couple weeks. So that'll be good to get his bat back in the lineup. We sure could have used that tonight. And do you realize how many line drive or center field hits that Abreu has hit this year? Almost every one of his outs have been to center field, and they've been lasers. His last hit was 107.7 miles an hour off the bat, right to the center fielder. He's just hitting them where they are. And so if we could get that turned around, if we could get Alex Bregman's 211 average to go up, I mean, that's terrible. Abreu's 230. He's at 211. Pena's ticked back up to 244. Your bright spots are Dubon, obviously, was 0 for 4 tonight. Myers, 0 for 3. Jolks, 0 for 3. So your guys that have been hitting, he just didn't hit the ball. I mean, they only managed, 3 hits tonight? 3.
Right.
You can't win a game with 3 hits.
Well, I didn't hear this because I had the sound off while I was doing the Streaking Orange cast, but Brandon said he heard Julio Morales said that Michael Brantley could return as soon as this road trip, which is going to Seattle. So that could be this weekend. And so Michael Brantley was 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored. Sorry, he was 3 for 3 today with 2 doubles and a walk for the Space Cowboys today. So he looks like he's ready, and the Astros will have to decide if he's ready to come off the IL. They have technically till the 9th until that 20-day window expires, but so they could take their time. But this is the first time the Astros, as bad as the Astros offense has been all season, this is the first time they've been shut out all year.
It is.
And so it's just, even when you're the savior catcher, Yanier Diaz started, it's no longer undefeated. Unfortunately, Brett, there goes your stat.
Well, and that's fine. I mean, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to take a more of a Maldonado approach and say, who was behind the plate when they walked so many batters? It wasn't Maldonado. Maybe Diaz didn't call a good game. It's like you can play both sides of that coin, and it's really frustrating to me because it makes no sense. It's like people want to infight with other Astros fans just to infight. Like it's really, I guess, childish. Okay. At the end of the day, we have said on this show, I don't know any other show that says this as much as we do. This year is going to be different. This year is going to be a difficult struggle. It's going to be a fight. It may even be a fight to win the division. But if this ball club can hit their stride and be 100% healthy or 90% healthy come playoff time, Eric, there's no team that I would rather ride with or claim as my team than the Houston Astros going into the 2023 playoffs, because they have the pedigree, they have the experience. So let's take our druthers, let's take the punches, keep going. And someone had made a comment earlier that said the Astros didn't look interested in winning. I'm sorry, that can't be farther from the truth. I've never heard a single player after a game say, yeah, we just didn't want to win tonight. That's malarkey. Sometimes the other pitcher, he has your number, and he hasn't gone this long in a start since the 2021 season. This is the longest outing he's had in 2 years, Eric. I mean, a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while, right?
Right. So, yeah, don't quote me on the Michael Brantley thing. They said he could return as soon as the road trip. So that's what could happen. And we know that the Jose Urquidy thing is not as bad as Dusty Baker made it sound out to be. He has inflammation in his right shoulder. So this is something that he was shut down for, I believe, a period of 10 to 14 days. And they're going to reevaluate him from there. But the way it made it sound like he shut down for a while. And so, but that's a little bit of better news, but we'll have to see how his arm responds. Now, Luis Garcia did have an MRI today, and they do have the results of the MRI, but they're not telling us normally. But this is what Baker said. He's seen a doctor. They're going back and reevaluate the MRI. So he'll probably have some news and outcome by the weekend. And he said they're also going to get a second opinion. So
I picture Eric real quick. I picture Dusty Baker going, I've got the MRI results right here, but you can't see them. like, come on, guys, quit playing coy with us. We know you're not going to be upfront and honest with us. Just tell us, hey, you know what? We're not as concerned as we thought we originally were, or, it's a good outlook, but we're not going to make any predictions right now. So I don't know. I have a theory actually about what is similar to what kind of happened to Lance McCullers, where it's not really the full surgery needed, but maybe how McCullers had to kind of rehab and not have the surgery. So, oh man, I thought you were going with the phantom injury. For 500,
I don't
Alex.
believe in that crap, but I
hold on, time out. You don't believe, Eric? Do you not realize that baseball clubs do that?
Man, I'm sure they do, but like not in those situations where somebody comes out after 8 pitches and somebody comes out.
Well, the Luis Garcia thing is a little different. Yes.
But there times when in between starts they're like, "Ow, my arm hurts. I can't pitch."
Discomfort.
I have discomfort. What's your discomfort? This boo-boo hurts.
They don't say, they send a text. First word to reporters, discomfort. And they're like, all right, boss, I got it. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But you don't want these guys out for a long period of time, because the guys you have out there right now haven't thrown more than 160 innings, really, the younger guys, the guys coming up. And so you've got a lot of arms that are young, more inexperienced, that you're going to be taxing more than you want to early on.
Yeah. Before we get away from the pitchers, this was clearly Hunter Brown's worst start of the season, I guess we can
Easily.
say. And he didn't even get lit up. He was just a little
No.
bit erratic. I could tell in the first inning, he just didn't have his good stuff. He had 5 walks. Umpire did not help him one bit, but I'm not going down that road. I've told myself I'm
Well,
never going that road. But yeah, I mean, umpire makes mistakes, but I don't want to be that person. But he did last 4 1/3 innings. I knew the pitch count was high. He was going to go deep in this game. After the bullpen had to basically pitch 9 innings, you didn't have Kent Emanuel this time. So you had to cover 9 innings the day before. You needed Hunter Brown to basically do that. And unfortunately, it just didn't work in this situation. 5 walks. The Astros as a whole had 9 walks, which was a season high, and they allowed 7 hits. But to their credit, with those 16 runners on base, they only allowed 2 runs. 2 runs.
and there's something to be said, but it was all about that 4th inning, Eric, where Estrada got the single. Okay, then he got caught stealing. There was 1 out. Jock Peterson walked.
I hate
Michael
him.
Conforto walked. I know Wilmer Flores struck out. So there's 2 outs. So you're like, okay, 2 outs. And then Blake Sable doubled, and that scored Peterson. That gave them their 2nd run. Joey Bart walked. And then coming out in the 5th inning, you had the pitching change where Matt Gage came in, and the bases were pretty much juiced. He came in and he did a great job. I mean, he was the right call. Look, Matt Gage, I'm surprised the Blue Jays released him. This guy has got the stuff. This guy can throw. He can throw for gas. I absolutely love how hard he
His
throws the
slider was
ball.
great. It was a
Oh,
sweeping,
yeah.
and he
Yeah.
has this little pitching motion where he puts his front leg behind him and then kind of goes forward, and I think it adds some of the break to his pitch, and I
Oh,
think this
yeah.
guy may stick around.
Oh, well, may stick around. No, this dude's here. This dude's here to, like, he topped out his sinker topped out at 95.3. His four seam topped out at 95.9, and his slider was all the way down to 78 miles an hour. He maxed out on 89 miles an hour onto that slider. And he goes out there, Eric, and he only got 3 swings and misses, but he was good in neutralizing the hitters, and that's what you need. You need guys like this to come in. He is a power arm, and I think he's going to be one of the acquisitions this season that will be the one that benefits us. He may play a role similar to what Montero did last year, where a lot of Seattle fans were like, "Oh yeah, we got rid of Montero because he's broken, and we fixed him." So it looks like Matt Gage might be that guy.
I think that with Matt Gage, the Blue Jays knew the talent they had, but it was a numbers game. They needed a roster position. They had a lot of lefty relievers. And so they just gambled and said, okay, well, let's go ahead and just see if this guy clears waivers. And he did. So it's just so rare to find somebody like Matt Gage. And it's so rare to find a game like Sorare. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Sorare is a great game. If you go to sorare.com/lockedon, I promise you're going to love this game. It is fantasy baseball like you've never seen it before. And what's cool is when you draft your team, you don't have to pay for anything. And they're basically like these digital baseball cards, and you own them. And once you have them and your players perform, you pick your lineup, they increase in their value, they increase in scarcity. They even have a marketplace. Look, if you want to get really deep into it, you can buy packs, you can spend money if you want to, but you don't have to. You can play absolutely free like I have, and you can add cards down the road. You get to trade cards up. If you hit certain tier levels, you can win signed jerseys, you can win MLB experiences. There's so many things. And they've got superstars like Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez, who are spokesmen for them. And there may be times throughout the season where you get to interact with them because of your gameplay and your results. So check out sorare.com/lockedon today. It's a fun game. I love it. I promise if you're a baseball fan, you're going to love it too.
Oops. Sorry. Anyway, the Astros were held to a 100 batting average in today's game. while the Giants had a 241 batting average, and the Astros only put 23 balls in plays. So it was just not a good game overall.
Do you know that the ball that Jose Abreu hit at 107.7 miles an hour, the expected batting average was 670.
Right, I saw that.
So by my math, if you look at the expected numbers, the Astros had amazing expected numbers. That's for the stat heads out there. So yay, that's something to get excited about. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, I love these advanced numbers, and it means a lot, I guess, to a lot of people. But you can have an expected number all you want to. The ball's still got to fall on the ground and not in the fielder's glove. This is a Giants team that's not very good. They've got some stars in their lineup, but they don't put things together on a regular basis. I don't know if you know this, Eric, but they played a game against the Padres where they hit a combined 17 home runs in this series. In Mexico City, I believe the Astros are playing the Rockies there.
Right.
It's at 7,000 plus feet.
And it's
can
way
you imagine
higher
how
than
many
Coors Field too?
Can you imagine how many home runs or how far Jordan's going to hit the ball, or Kyle Tucker? Because they said over, I think 6 or 7 of them were over 440 feet.
Right.
They went back to back 2 or 3 different times in the same game. And so I'm kind of excited about them playing the Rockies next year in Mexico City. That's going to be a fun series to watch. Let's hope that the Astros pitchers, though, keep the ball in the ballpark.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I think some of them actually got dehydrated because of the elevation. So Crawford couldn't play. Then a couple other guys could not play in today's game in this series because of that issue. So
yeah, you got altitude sickness and all that stuff.
Yeah. So that is a legit thing. So that is something you have to be a little bit concerned about. But that we'll worry about that next year. But that is a cool experience. And it seemed like they had a fun time representing or just playing in Mexico. So it was just pretty cool. And this game was not pretty cool. It just was
this game sucked.
Yeah.
Dude, don't slow walk it. This game sucked. This was a terrible game. This was not a fun game to watch. This is like, if you went to the game, you were probably like, because last night, dude, the game before that you and I went to, that game was fun.
Right.
That game was fun to watch.
I kept on waiting for a 7th inning when we'll score 5 runs. I'm like, just wait till the 7th inning. We're going to score 5 runs. We did it yesterday. We'll do it again.
Now, I know some people that just listen to the radio still, they don't watch the game. Like, did you see the wind map they're showing? They are able to show the wind direction change. I was like, that's pretty nifty. And they're like, yep, 7th inning's coming up and the wind's blowing to left field. The Astros bats are going to take advantage. No, not tonight, kids.
And I wonder if they're going to have the roof open because the Astros record with the roof open this year is not very good. 0-1.
Well, yeah, 0-1. Yeah, I was surprised they actually had it open.
They should have had it open this weekend.
Well, there was one time where they said they were going to have it open and it was going to rain. And then the next time they said they were going to have it open and there was no rain and they closed it. So whoever manages the roof, I'm just telling you right now, you frustrate a lot of us. Open the roof more often. I mean, come on, man. It's fun. I was at the game too, 2021 World Series, where the Astros ended up winning. And it was so loud that I thought the roof was closed. So roof closed, roof open. The offense has got to put the ball in play. They just didn't tonight. The Giants had their number. I thought when maybe we got to the bullpen, 8th, 9th inning magic. Not tonight. It's okay, kids. The good thing is the Rangers, I believe, lost. The last time I looked, they were losing 5-4 to the Diamondbacks. I'm going to check that while we're live here on air to make sure that I'm correct on that.
By the way, did you see that Mauricio?
Oh no, Texas ended up winning. Texas
they did.
won. They were Texas won 6-4. Gosh dang it, stupid Rangers.
Did you see Mauricio Dubon take out Brett Wisely? And that was like, leveled him.
Yeah, well, he didn't purposely take him out. You made it sound like he took
but it
him
was
out.
It wasn't on purpose. He was trying to get him out and he got him out. But it kind of, if you look at the
he ran into his elbow.
Like an elbow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He tried to RKO him. He's like, revenge this. Anyways.
And that catch by Corey Julks in left field.
Oh, that was phenomenal. Yeah, that's why I put that picture on there, dude. I'm telling you, man, this kid's got a grade 50 outfield glove. He's a very good defender. But let's move on to tomorrow's game because Framber Valdez is pitching, and Framber Valdez
9 innings.
is, he needs to go 9 innings,
9 innings,
game.
complete game.
But he's going against Logan Webb. Logan Webb is 1-5 with the 14 ERA. Eric Valdez 2-3 with the 2.54 ERA. It is a 110 start, and they're giving away the Jeremy Pena ring. And look, speaking of ring giveaways, probably around May 10th, we're going to do our first giveaway, and we're going to do a Yordan Alvarez ring giveaway. But I'm going to wait until he has a special game with a home run or something, and we'll launch one of those giveaways. But we got some cool stuff to give away for you guys. So stay tuned and make sure you're locked in to Locked On Astros.
And I know that we did talk about Mauricio Dubon's comments about the Giants yesterday, and he came out and clarified today that he had no issues with the players. He loved all his teammates. This was about the organization and the management just not playing him. And my thoughts were, well, how do you feel about the Astros last year? Because they didn't really play him a lot. I mean, I guess they did, but he was the Justin Verlander's personal center fielder. But he is playing now, and we're seeing what type of player he is. So I think that that's good. And Jose Abreu got some good swings today, and he's looking a little bit better. But we need to actually see. I mean, he had some singles in Sunday's game, and he had made some good contact. But we need more consistency from him. That way, people can stop talking about the former first baseman, because I am really getting tired of hearing that name. He's gone. It's gone.
Well,
we broke up with him. We dumped him. He's gone. Okay.
And but you got to understand the emotional attachment that he is. It's kind of the same thing. It was even almost more so with Marwin Gonzalez. Like when Marwin Gonzalez left, you would have thought that you kicked someone's dog in the process. I was like, but Marvin only had that one good year, 2017, hint, wink, wink.
Right.
Yuli did contribute more. And I really wish Yuli had been here earlier. And I was talking to someone tonight at the gym about Yuli. And I said, the reason why I would have loved to have Yuli stay is simply because Diana says he's my boyfriend. We will always stalk him. Okay?
No, he's the boyfriend we will always stalk. Okay. I don't get her in trouble now.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad. Because it looks like, okay, that doesn't look like Yuli in her picture. No. But what we were talking about was Yuli would have a good year offensively and a bad year. Well, he had his good year 2 years ago where he won the title. Last year he had a bad year. So we were going, well, what if they would have kept him? Would he have had a better offensive season? And would you be able to slide him into a liaison role in Cuba? And he signed a 2 or 3 year contract. Maybe you don't have to play out all those years. I'm like, but Yuli, I think, really wants to play 2 or 3 more years. And that just wasn't in the Astros' long-term plans.
Yeah.
So look, there is a lot of stuff going on in the Astros world, and the Astros play the Giants on Wednesday at 1:10 Central Standard Time. Catch every pitch of the Astros hometown broadcast. Sparky and Ford have you covered with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Astros.
And as always, I like to close out every show with a little bit of positive news. So today's bit of positive news is Jose Altuve was taking some grounders today. And so this is what Dusty Baker said. The doctor said that he's doing good. He's doing very well. Same thing as good, but okay. He took ground balls, which is a big plus. The next step is to see how he feels and try to keep him on schedule. So it was good to see him out there taking the ground balls. And I mean, they weren't like really hit to him hard, but just some soft ground balls. But it's good to see him going through some of the motions. And we'll have to talk about on the next podcast, definitely what happens when Brantley comes back, what happens when Altuve comes back, and what happens when McCormick comes back, because this lineup is going to be loaded and it's going to be glorious. Hallelujah.
That's right. All right. Well, this has been the Locked On Astros podcast. He's Eric Huysman. I am Brett Chancey. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Mauricio Dubon is still the leadoff hitter, and the Astros are still number one in our hearts. Y'all have a good one. And as always, go Stros. Have fun starting tomorrow, Maldonado.